Hey everyone, welcome to House Groups. My name's Landon, and it's an honor to be with you today. And quick reminder, 1 week from right now is Student Takeover Weekend, which means the student ministry at Eastside HSM, JHM gets a chance to simply be highlighted and run the weekend services. And it's an amazing way to serve our church and demonstrate how God is moving right here through you in the next generation, right? And that evening, Sunday night, we'll have our first ever house group parties. Now, I didn't know what to call it, so that's the name until you come up with a better one, and you can simply do that at your house group or whatever. So what's a house group party? Well, it's whatever you want to be. Well, kinda. As long as your leaders say it's okay and it's legal. All right, I don't know what you want to do. Maybe it's a movie night, maybe it's a pool day, you grill out, you have a cooking competition, you have pedicures, you do a paint party, you do a basketball tournament. I don't know, it's up to you. Whatever you think would be a fun and memorable way to kind of wrap up this summer, which I know is depressing. Some of you are going back to school in like 2 weeks, all right? And the reason we're doing this is because we're in week 2 of a series called Summertime Friends. And my best memories of the summer are all about having fun with my friends. And we hope that happens here. So I want to give you a few seconds to plan or discuss, and you'll have some time to do this again later. What do you want to do for your house group party? We're going to have a quick brainstorming session. Again, you'll have more time later. Turn to the person next to you and throw out some ideas. Well, last week we established that the Bible, and this may sound like a strong statement, but I really believe it. The Bible is the best resource. It's a gold mine for friendship advice. It's totally packed with wisdom, right? Here's just a few. A man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow, but woe to them who is alone when they fall and has not another to lift them up. Okay, and Jesus even said, greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down their life for their friends. And before Jesus, this is incredible, would go to the cross, he looked into the eyes of his closest followers and he says this, I do not call you servants any longer, because the servant doesn't know what the master is doing, but I've called you what? Friends. Because I've made known to you everything that I have heard from my Father. Guys, Jesus calls us friends. How amazing is that? Right? And finally, our key verse, what this series is around. Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. Which led to a great question that we focused on last week of who are you walking with and are they helping you? And today I want to have everybody kind of look in the mirror and turn the question around, right? What kind of friend am I? And the second question, and we talked about influence that others have on us last week, and for this week, what influence do I have? So the goal of today is not to show you what's wrong, but to help us evaluate where we are and then chart a path to have godly friendships where we both people in the relationship and the friendship get better. And for the sake of time and clarity, I want to look at 2 areas that impact the kind of friend that I am. I've noticed this in the past, and the influence that I have. And it's super simple. 2 areas, words and actions. All right, number 1, words. Now, when I was in high school, I had a really close group of friends that we were best friends. We did everything together, and it was good most of the time. But when we were seniors, we kind of hit a rut. You could tell everybody was on edge, but nobody was sure why. So a friend of mine did something absolutely wild, and he called a meeting. All right, we met on a Friday night at my friend Hayden's house, and it started slowly at first, but a group of dudes did something most guys are horrible at. We were vulnerable. Shocker. Okay, and we shared. And what we found was that the root issue of our friendship problems was how we spoke to one another. It was our words. See, we like to mess around, we like to poke fun, we like to make jokes at each other, but what happened over time was that those little jokes started to turn into insults, and we didn't say anything because we're guys and we're tough, but it was affecting all of us, and we had unintentionally caused harm to each other. Okay, so remember, we're looking in the mirror today, right? This is about us and our decisions, our word choice. My question is, are my words building up or tearing down? Like if somebody followed you around for 24 hours and took note of every word you spoke, at the end of the day, what would be the theme? Would it be an encourager, someone who roots for and cheers on others? Would it be filled with faith, someone who cheers on others as they take steps toward Jesus? Or would it be filled with words that may be fun for you, but not so fun to the person on the receiving end? Right? Do you make them go home at night and think about the things that you said? James, the brother of Jesus, says this. It's straightforward. He's, brothers and sisters, do not slander one another. It's that simple. Like slander is a diss, right? It's a negative word. Words that come at someone else's expense. He simply says, don't do it. Now, I'm not saying you can't have fun or be sarcastic, right? But come on. Everybody you've ever met is struggling with something. Everyone from one time or another is fighting a battle, and they don't need your help feeling bad about themselves. And a word of encouragement, a kind word from you could make a huge difference. So are my words building up or tearing down? What kind of friend am I? What influence do I have? All right, the next area to evaluate are our actions. Okay, so we talked about words, now we're talking about actions. You may have heard the phrase, actions speak louder than words. Look, I don't care what anybody says. You need both. You need both actions and words, especially in friendship. All right, we read this earlier. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. If they fall, one will lift up his fellow, but woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. Solomon, the author of this text, wants you and I to know two are better than one. Here's the problem. So many times my first concern, my first thought is about what? It's about me. I'll eventually get to others, but first it's about me. And what I've learned is no matter how smart, how strong, how gifted, how popular, how driven, how successful, how whatever, when you're constantly you-focused, you eventually drift towards isolation. And y'all, I can't, and you can't do life alone. And our actions are going to impact who we live life with and how we live life with them. So my question to ask yourself internally, silently as you listen, in your friendships, do your actions demonstrate value to others? Okay, let me give you some examples. When you say you're gonna show up, do you show up? Or is it only if you don't have a better offer, right? You're kind of flaky. When your friend is going through a hard time, do you let them know you care, both in words and in how you spend your time? Here's a real simple one. Do you text them back or leave them on read? When you hear someone else gossiping about them, this one is huge, and they're not there. Do you shut that down out of respect for your friend? Or do you just let it go? Maybe when they're struggling in faith, do you encourage them to keep going? Look, I could give more examples, and we all fall short, and I'm not asking you to be perfect. Nobody is. But y'all, I want you to know the cool part about this is that you can make a difference by putting a few small things into action right now. And here's how. I bet if we all thought about it, if we spent a few moments right now thinking silently to ourselves, you could probably think of someone in your life. I don't know who they are. Maybe they're at your school, they're on your team, somebody you met this summer, somebody you work with, somebody right here who could benefit from intentional, purposeful action, from encouragement from you right now. Maybe you simply just shoot them a text of encouragement, or perhaps it's an invitation. Maybe it's a prayer. Maybe it's a gift. Maybe you follow through, right? Where you do what you say you're gonna do, and you show up for them. And my challenge to you this week is really simple, okay? And you gotta be bold. In the next 7 days, do one thing that demonstrates that you care about a friend. Look, students, I want you to know right now, as a high school student, you can set the precedent for how you treat others in your life. If you want to make a difference in this world, you can start by loving and respecting every person you make eye contact with. I want to encourage you to be different. Your generation is better at this already than your parents. Okay, you are. You're already kinder. Don't backtrack. Keep going in the right direction and always ask yourself, what kind of friend am I? What influence do I have? And how cool would it be if maybe you invited that friend to house group next week? Look, what we're doing 7 days from right now, it's not a church service, right? So if you got friends that are worried about church or not sure if they belong in church, this is a perfect weekend to invite them. We're just hanging out at a house. And you can be a part of planning how your group and how your friend that you invite experiences and spends their time. Look, one invitation can change a life. First this next week. And then maybe they come back and they get a chance to hear about Jesus, and that can change their eternity, right? And if they know you're simply in their corner, a life can be changed forever. And by being a great friend, you and I can make a difference in this world. How cool could that be? We can have an influence that gives life to people. How incredible is that? Be bold. Be different. Go make a difference. And we'll see you next week.